So, my people, Maye go dive deep about the establishment of Sharia law in Yorubaland, as well as what Kogi jihadists said, that it is time to start preaching jihad in Yorubaland. So, let me allow you guys so they can listen and hear everything that he said in this particular video. But before then, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't for more updates, and also share the video. Give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for doing so.
It is the, brewing disagreement, threats left, right, and center on this Sharia in Yorubaland. Brethren, if I can kind of take us a little bit back to 2016, 2017, nearly 2 years. It wasn't up to 2 years. It was like a few months after Bokwari in 2015. By 2016, by June 2016, Bokwari's regime and those around him, they were already unleashing their what we now known as Fulani or Fulanization agenda. Remember that before this APC, the most prominent terrorist in the Nigeria's space was the Boko Haram, Alhaji Shekau, remember him. But just 8 months after Bokwari, we started seeing the adventure of the Fulani terrorists up north, and slowly but surely spread to the southern part of Nigeria. Kidnapping, farm invasion, destroying of people's farms, and then killing anybody who tried to fight them, and on and on and on and on. Then they started the agenda of farmers-others clashes, remember? Oh, farmers-others clashes. It was only the farmers that were being killed. How come the farmers-others clashed on the farmer's farm, and it is only the farmer that get killed, or the farmer's village that got burned down? What kind of narrative is this? What kind of agenda is this? Farmers-others clashes. Waiting Fulani others they find on top Yoruba farmers farm. How is that even a genuine report? So we started digging only to realize that it was a mean to an end, only for the Bokwari's regime to start a different kind of agenda for peace to reign. People must be willing to give up their farms, their lands, your land or your life. Or we need to start a cattle colony. We needed a grazing route. All the false lies that these guys kind of a push for their agenda, right? I'm just reminding you of this, so in case if you have forgotten, because there is new agenda on the horizon right now, and it will be defeated as well, all right? It will be. So back then, right, the Fulani terrorists, as they wanted to be called Fulani herdsmen. They weren't herdsmen, they were terrorists that terrorized both the west, the east, until people responded. So they said, oh, okay, to stop farmers others. What do you mean farmers others clashes? Are they mad? Well, they said to stop farmers others clashes, we needed to go back to grazing route. I was like, come. How can the Fulanis have grazing route in Yorubaland or any land at all in Nigeria? Like, say they had a route where their cows were allowed to pass. So say, in Yorubaland, we're going to kill you and that's your grazing route. So that was defeated. This was, I'm talking about the policies of the federal government or the Fulani government of Nigeria then, right? Then they said, oh, okay, we needed to start a cattle colony. Cattle colony. There will be no cattle colony in Yorubaland. How many of you remember that time? There will be none. They were gaslighting us. They were threatening us. There was nothing they didn't try. If you remember, just because they wanted to bring in these Fulani murderers, these Fulani terrorists into our midst. If you remember, it was rejected. Then they appointed the Pastor Ruga to go and start what they call the rural grazing areas. Rural grazing areas. Ruga. In Yorubaland, no, there will be no Ruga in Yorubaland. And almost everywhere, including the middle belt part of Nigeria, they said, no, we will never subscribe to any Ruga. You know, they were proposing things to give, they call it the peace conditions. They were telling the indigenous people, the only pathway to peace was going to be on the terms of the Fulanis. But don't forget, there were also Olori Buruku Yorubas who were actually supporting the idea. There were Yoruba Omuales, the Yoruba bastards within the APC. Some of them have now turned to the Ronukus of today, who indeed said there were lands were just there wasting, give it to them. Let us just, you know, why are you always like, it's because you hated Bukwari, this idea, you know, they had to do ranching, they had to do this and that for the Fulanis. And we're like, cow business is a private business, just like a spare parts business. If you wanted to start a business, if you want to start a spare part business right now, you will go and raise your fund anywhere. Then you're going to approach, if you want to buy land to build the shops, or if you want to rent a shop, you have to approach the owners, register yourselves, and pay the rent. Abi, it wasn't the government. It wasn't like the Igbos, for example, who are into the spare part business. The Igbos did not group themselves and start shooting and killing people and asking for a land to build their own mechanic shop or whatever other shops they wanted. So why should anybody with cows be given a special treatment whereby, rather than treat them as terrorists as they are, why should anybody part with their lands? If the Fulanis want lands that they wanted to rear their cows, the ideal thing is for them to approach the landowners and pay them to buy or rent the lands. Not that you are going to invade people's farms, destroy their farms, and then kill them, ransack villages, and kill people in their sleeps. And then all of a sudden, it will become the policy of the government at the center. The indigenous people must part with their land for peace. What kind of peace is that? I'm reminding you all these agendas because they all seemed like yesterday. There wasn't anything they didn't try. So when they realized that the Ruga won't pass, they decided to use the National Assembly, where they started proposing what they call the waterway bills. Remember? All of this to get the Fulani terrorists indigenized in the southern part of Nigeria. Okay? And at the same time, create their own, they will give them, from this small space to that large space. And then they will give them their own local government areas within Yorubaland, within the Igbo land. But people saw through all of that. If you are going to have any peace, you can't have peace with murderers. They were meant to be dealt with as murderers, as terrorists, right? But we had Yoruba bastards at the time because of their loyalty to APC. They said it was a good idea to give our lands to murderers. So they brought what they call the waterway bills. That one, they said, every water in Nigeria, because it is the southern Nigeria that actually has any kind of like economically viable waterways, right? So they said, waterway bills means every water in Nigeria is owned by the federal government of Nigeria, and not just the water. They said 10 kilometers away from the water bank. If you have this, let me use the example. Have you been to the bar beach in Lagos? If you haven't, well, you have an idea of what beach looks like, right? So if you have been to the bar beach in Lagos, right, it simply means you see where that water stops. Then they will now measure 10 kilometers of that land straight into the Lagos Island. So you get now. Now, all the properties, the land there is going to be owned by the federal government of Nigeria. And as the federal government of Nigeria, the idea was they can then allocate the lands to the Fulani terrorists and their cows. So that also got rejected. In fact, got defeated in the National Assembly. So you see all these tricks, they've kind of given us an idea of what APC, Egbekebe, represents. So when they pushed their Muslim ticket, I knew that something was going to come out of that again, that is always going to be like the anti, the people. So Muslim tickets that doesn't really give a damn about any Muslim whatsoever, other than just the idea of subjugation, control, which is so synonymous with this Fulanis, so to say, especially the elite. So the great-grandson of Uthman Danfodio, the first terrorist in the land that is now known as part of Nigeria today, Saad Abubakar, who is the Sultan of Sokoto right now, and those who are probably working with him, they now pushed one thing just 2 days ago. It's like a rage, where the Sultan of Sokoto was so disappointed in the Yorubas, and he called us intolerance. Yorubas are not tolerant of other religions. He said, Yorubas, in this man now, like, say, if you are not a Muslim and you are a Yoruba, you are considered as somebody who is intolerant, because they are pushing the agenda of a Sharia this, Sharia that. So under Bokwari, it was Ruga, cattle colony, grazing routes. Now under Tifnumbu, in their Muslim ticket, it is now Sharia. Okay? Sharia, where they said they want their own courts. After having their Sharia panels, they also want their own court, where they don't have to take what they call the Muslim cases to any conventional court, but their own court. And then people were like, you know what? Even the Yoruba Muslims were like, what are you talking about? We don't need Sharia. We don't want Sharia. All right? Then you also, again, right now, you have the Yoruba bastards, Yoruba Omuale Yorubas, right? Who are indeed, because this is just like during the Bokwari's time, when the Yorubas rose up and said, okay, we're going to start a Amotekun to defend ourselves against this marauding Fulani terrorist. There were Yorubas who were completely against it. The number one person who was against Yorubas defending Yorubaland is no other person than this Tifnumbu, this druggie, Kolu, the man that went to see the Afenifere leader back then, Fashoroti. And then it was like, when his daughter was killed, Tifnumbu was there to ask her, where are the cows? In defense of these Fulani murderers, these Fulani terrorists. And there were Yorubas who were on the ground and said, there's nothing wrong if we give them land for peace. They didn't get a piece of land, talk less of any other piece what they are proposing, right? Till today, there's no single plot of Ruga in Yorubaland. 8 years of Bokwari couldn't give them that. Because there are some of them, especially those who are in the APC, who believe that they have something in common with the North, their religion. You understand that there are Yoruba Muslims, right? Fanatics, who kind of feel like they are Fulanis too, because of their religion with the North. Even though nobody really gives a shit about them per se. But they just like pretty much like wannabe Muslims or wannabe terrorists who are probably presently don't even have what it takes to behead someone, but they'll get there. Hopefully, they hope they will get there. So another thing to get them have something they will call, something they share in common with this northern terrorist. Again, religion. So to them, anyone insulting the Satan of Sokoto is insulting Islam. And they are not going to take that lightly with anyone. Right? So this next 2 years, or maybe 6 years, if Tifnumbu rigged himself again, right? So their agenda obviously is clear. It is going to be religious and inciting religious, possible religious war in Yorubaland. So I was on one of their gathering online yesterday. Not really was there per se until one of their contributors, statements actually caught my attention. There is this mad person from Kogi, right? He's been tagged Kogi jihadist. So when the Satan of Sokoto said that the rejection of Sharia by the Yorubas is a disappointing stop for him. And also, it showed that Yorubas are not allowing Muslims, Yoruba Muslims, to practice their religion. A complete falsehood, lies. Up to this moment, people are practicing their religion as they deem fit. But again, the agenda is to rile people and possibly activate a religious crisis in Yorubaland. And that is what their Muslim ticket agenda is going to unravel. The last time their agenda was the Fulanization agenda, and it got defeated, astoundingly. And that is why today, yes, they are still in our forests, perpetuating all kinds of terrorism, kidnapping our people for ransom. Indeed. In fact, some of them even believe that it is just a matter of time that they would have their day when they will round all of us up, because they've already surrounded us in Yorubaland. But this is also in their heads, okay? Because they will always try. Unfortunately, we have weak men and weak women, who are currently parading themselves as political leaders of Yorubaland. But even at that, the general resolve of the people is that if we say no to this, and everybody says no to this, not even the weakest political rogues in Yorubaland can make that happen. So, in their gathering, this madman, this mad mofo from Kogi, now said, who practically claimed to be Yoruba, but again, he is not really proud to be Yoruba, because according to him, he feels so sad that a part of him is Yoruba and a part of him is Fulani. That it seems that it is time for them to start a jihad in Yorubaland. What does that even mean? A jihad to start a Sharia? Do. How about you start your jihad right now and watch even your own supposed fellow Muslim capture you and beat you to stupor? So they were having this conversation online, and a copy of that is here with us tonight. But first thing first, when the Are Ono Kakanfo, Iba Gani Adam, right, had this to say earlier on the matter, right? Let's start with this.
Condemn totality wípé a fẹ́ Sharia. Nígbà àwọn alákatakítí láyè láti wá fi Sharia, òfin Sharia da ilẹ̀ Yorùbá rú. Ìdí mo sọ̀rọ̀ yìí, background mi Muslim ni. Sharia wà nínú Al-Quran gẹ́gẹ́ bí òfin. Ṣùgbọ́n bí àwọn ará bí ṣe ń lo Sharia nílùú Nàìjíríà, ó lọ́wọ́ òṣèlú nú. Ó dẹ̀ ní ọwọ́ ìmúnilóko ẹrú ẹ̀sìn nú. Ó dẹ̀ ní ọwọ́ jàǹbá nínú. Sharia tí wọ́n lò ní Zamfara, àmọ́ jàǹbá tó fi ṣe fún gbogbo àwọn ẹlẹ́sìn Kristẹni ó wà ní Zamfara. Àdèmọ̀ jàǹbá tó fi ṣe fún àwọn ẹ̀yà tí ò ń ṣe ẹ̀yà Fulani àti Hausa ní Zamfara. Nàìjíríà, Abdulsalam ló sneak penal code wọnú ẹ̀ ní 1999. Kò sí ní 1960 constitution tá a gbà papọ̀ pé MC Sharia kò sí ní òfin wa. Kò sínú Republic Constitution pé Sharia wà ní òfin wa. 1979 Constitution kò sí Sharia bẹ́ẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n ní àfàlà àgbà tó fẹ́ gbẹ̀jọba fún àwọn ìjọba alágbádá ló fi Sharia wọnú ẹ̀ fún Professor Wadidu, tó jẹ́ special adviser on religion matters. Legal matters, sorry, nígbà yẹn. Àtìgbà yẹn ní Òkè Ọya wàhálà lẹ́ẹ̀ni wàhálà lọ́la ni nítorí Sharia àti ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀sìn alákatakítí. Ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, Muslim, Christian àti ẹ̀sìn alábàláyé wọ́n fẹ́ra wọn, wọ́n tako ara wọn. Yorùbá ò gbé ẹ̀sìn alákatakítí sórí. Ìwà ni Yorùbá máa ń wò, ọmọlúwàbí la máa ń wò, àwọn ẹ̀sìn tí a tó mọ èèyàn gidi. So mo bẹ̀ àwọn ìjọba wa ti rí àti o, mo ti rí Ògùn State Governor tó ti condemn in totality. Mo ti rí Èkìtì State Governor tó ti condemn in totality. Mo ti rí Ọ̀yọ́ State Governor wọ́n ti condemn náà. Èdè wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Mo condemn in totality wípé a fẹ́ Sharia.
Oh, go Phil. Sorry if you don't understand Yoruba. Let me give you a bit of a recap of what Gani Adams said there. According to him, it was Abdulsalami Abubakar that smuggled this Sharia nonsense into the constitution of Nigeria, the Decree 24, military constitution of Abdulsalami Abubakar. Gani Adams went the memory lane by saying, in the 1960, 1963, and 1979 constitutions of Nigeria, there was nothing called Sharia. That yes, there is Sharia in the Quran for the religious people. However, we have seen what they have used their Sharia to do to other religious bodies in the northern part of Nigeria, especially Christians. How they, because their Sharia is not the same Sharia you have in that Quran. Their own Sharia is mainly political Sharia. It is a Sharia that is all for control and subjugation of non-Muslims, so to say. And he's very right. So this is where the complexity, it's not that complex, so deep, but this is where the complexity comes in. A normal Muslim, like a proper Muslims will be like, may likely get offended when you say, we don't want Sharia. Because to him, it's maybe sounding as if like, I don't want your religion. And you know, people out of that, dismissal can say a lot of things. And somebody who is a Muslim can begin to take offense and be like, well, why are you saying all of this about Islam? Why are you, you know what I mean? So that is why the extremists, right? We call them the Alakatakiti Esi, all right? The extremists would always give themselves up because their own utterances, right? If you listen to them, right, you can tell why you must resist anything called Sharia in any part of Nigeria to start with, but maybe too late some places. But in Yorubaland, it will not happen. Don't fret yourself over anything. It's not going to happen. Okay? Because when you listen to those who are proposing this, all you have to worry about, the reason why you have to be worried about that nonsense Sharia is more pronounced in what they are saying. You can tell that they are calling those who are like Yoruba Muslims who have been existing before Uthman Danfodio, before the birth of Danfodio, before they even brought the same Islam to northern part of Nigeria. Historically, it's been down south. It's actually been in Yorubaland. They've been practicing this Islam that in Yorubaland, right? Hundreds of years before Uthman Danfodio found his way to Gobiri and the rest of the northern part of Nigeria in 1804. So it's not them that will come and teach you about Islam. That's what the Yorubas are saying, you know, that it's not you Fulanis who will teach Yorubas about Islam. And therefore, we are not going to follow your own type of Islam that is mainly intolerance of others. If you want to know, in northern part of Nigeria, their fake Sharia there, which is their own Fulani Sharia per se. During the Ramadan, you are expected, all of you are expected, right, to abide by the rules set by them, whether you are a Muslim or non-Muslim. If you are a non-Muslim, you have to obey it. They will send out their, their Isba to go out and arrest people, right, for not obeying the Ramadan rules, what have you. They get people who are actually non-Muslims beaten up. They have non-Muslims tried in their Sharia court and sentenced to death. Jetau, remember the Jetau, that lady that was recently released, all because she was sharing the video condemning the killings of Deborah. So the intolerance in them is, if you get killed by them, you will see the rest of their, Muslims or what have you in northern Nigeria justifying the killings of non-Muslims by some mob terrorists called, Islamic fanatics in northern Nigeria. So we have seen a lot from far, right, to resist them. And like I said, just listen to the way they speak, the way they talk. Everything that you have to fear about the purpose or the agenda of their Sharia is widely pronounced, loudly pronounced in what they say. So this mofo from Kogi, who said that it seems there should be a jihad. What do you mean jihad? Does that mean that you have to fight us? Like you have to gather some Muslim army to come and fight us in Yorubaland, Abi? Because what do you mean by jihad? He is from Kogi, probably from Yagba. Give me the names of the Yoruba communities that are part of Kogi. Is it called Yagba? There's another one from Keneridinos area. Kaba. Kaba. Yagba. And where? Egbe. Mopa. Okun. A Muslim from that place who said he is ashamed of his Yoruba connection. Obviously, maybe his mom is Yoruba, his dad is Fulani, or his dad is Yoruba, his mom is Fulani, and all of that. So these are the weak men we are talking about. Intolerance, Egbamike. Number one, he said he's not living in Yorubaland. So, I mean, fear that somebody like that is not living in Yorubaland. So he's probably never really been to Yorubaland per se. So he's talking about it. So who is not tolerance of the Muslims? I mean, now in Yorubaland, are you being discriminated against as a Muslim in Yorubaland? Do you have any record of anything like that? Have you ever seen anywhere that in Yorubaland that people were not allowed to practice their religion? And what the heck does the Sharia have to do with you practicing your religion? Where is the discrimination he's talking about? So who are those who are not tolerant of the Muslims in Yorubaland? The Christians or the traditionalists? Who? It is all agenda. You get that now? It is an agenda. So see how many people will buy it. How many people, how many Muslims will buy it? Debate. If you remember very well, when this conversation about the Fulani terrorists was also raging, there were those who were busy gaslighting us that the idea of defending ourselves or protecting our people from this invading terrorists was like anti-Nigeria, anti-Northern Nigeria. It was a Fulani phobia. that the Fulanis, they have no other means. Their job is to be moving their cows up and down. And as long as they are part of Nigeria, they can move their cow everywhere. There were those who were pushing that too. There were those who actually pushed that. So if you dare come out to complain about the Fulani terrorists, you will see your fellow Yorubas who are going to come and attack you for it. So similarly, a lot of scenarios were kind of like painted. A lot of pictures were painted. Oh, it's because you don't like us. Oh, it's because you don't like them. I was like, what are you talking about? Every Friday, you will still see some streets in Lagos, so across Yorubaland, you will still see some streets that were completely taken over by the Muslim Ummah praying on Fridays. We have all our churches, mosques everywhere, and I've not really seen anywhere they said, okay, we are going to stop people from going to go and do their prayer. What people are saying is that we don't want your Sharia panel or your Sharia courts in Yorubaland. That is not saying they don't want you Muslim, because how are we going to do it? In every family, you have a Muslim, you have a Christian. People they've like intermarried and what have you. So what is the idea of people saying we don't want Sharia? It's as simple as that. We don't want it. So how does that stop you from practicing your religion? How did that stop anybody? They know that it's not stopping everybody or anyone. But they already have those who are already biting into that agenda anyway. And according to them, we might need to start a jihad. So my own question is, who are you going to fight the jihad with? Me? Or your family members? Or your neighbors? Or what do you mean by that jihad? What are you going to do? You're going to start attacking us? Like you're going to start what? Eje. Oh, Eje. You know those who are going to actually really beat you up. You talk about Panyo and your fellow Muslims. Because we can tell where your extremism is coming from. And the moment it is totally against the tradition and the culture of Yorubaland, because we are Yoruba people. We are not kind of like extremists per se. We are not. We are not the type that's going to begin to behead people and be shouting Allahu Akbar. That's not our culture. That's not our tradition. People just want to practice their religion, you know, their relationship with their own God. Whether you are a Christian or a Muslim or a traditionalist, it doesn't really matter. Everybody's just kind of like doing their own thing. So where is this idea of, we can imagine what the Yoruba Muslims are. Are you mad? What the Yoruba Muslims are going through. If the Yoruba Muslims are going through anything, they must be in the hands of their fellow Muslims. It's not because of it. It's not in the hands of any other religion. Similarly, if the Yoruba Christian says they are going through something in Yorubaland, it's never in the hand of any other religion. It is in the hand of their fellow Christians. Abi Ronimopa. If you see Muslims who are complaining about anything, if they complain about anything, in Yorubaland, it must be against them. It must be within themselves. There's no way that you're going to hear anybody say the Christians are doing this to Muslims, or the Muslims are doing this to Christians in Yorubaland, except in Ilorin, where they will continue to remind us that, yes, it was Yorubaland, but it's no longer Yorubaland. Yeah, they love to remind us of that. That it is now a Fulani land. And it's quite a bit of ironical as well. You know? So the story of Afonja and Alimi in Ilorin. So the Afonja, who is supposed to be a Yoruba, a name that is now synonymous to a betrayer. Then the Alimi, the medicine seller, the Fulani medicine seller, that then betrayed Afonja himself, killed him like a piece of a dog, then created his caliphate in Ilorin. with those who are supposed who were neither Fulani, neither Yoruba, Gambari in Ilorin. If you listen to some of them, they speak Yoruba very, very fluently. They will tell you that they are Yoruba, but they are not Yoruba. So the Fulanis from northern Nigeria or the other Fulanis elsewhere, when they look at them like they are just they're like, because to them, if you are not a Fulani or if you are not a Muslim and a Fulani, they see you as a subhuman. So if you have anything to, like, for example, if you are partly Yoruba and partly Fulani, you are subhuman to them. I don't know if you know that. So see, if you are watching me from Ilorin, yourself, you can admit to this. Are you Yoruba or are you Fulani? Your forebearers, and even some of them till now, they have no allegiance to Yorubaland. Because to them, they will proudly tell you Yorubas are idol worshippers. Abi? Therefore, you are closer to the Allegiano. I mean, what do you call it, right? You are closer to the paradise because you are Fulani. Meanwhile, the real Fulani from up north, they see you as a subhumans, that they don't even see you as a Fulanis. So do you see that level of a confusion in between? But anything from there, from Ilorin, then coming down south, right? Then you realize that what you have there are Yorubas of different tribes within this space. So we are not extremists. We are not people that want to kind of kill because of religion. So similarly, if you look at the people in Kogi, I think some of them are as confused as well. There are some of them who see themselves as Fulani when they are not. But somehow, right, they have this mixed blood that will make them feel like the Fulani, the Fulani link that they have is more superior to any other tribal affiliation they have. For example, somebody who is from Okun or Yagba or Kaba, who happen to be Yoruba, but then is forebearers who are also partly maybe married to Fulani or got married by Fulani. So they will kind of feel like they are Muslims. Because they are Muslims, then automatically they are more to the north. They see themselves as northern Nigeria than they will see themselves as Yorubas. Confused. You see these two examples, Kogi and then Ilorin. Every now and then, I actually do feel sorry for some of you. Seriously, I feel sorry for you. I know you don't. The reason why I feel sorry for you is because you may be speaking Yoruba, but not that Yorubas won't accept you as one of us, but a majority of you don't even see yourself as Yorubas. Because to you, identifying as Yorubas makes you inferior to your Fulani ancestry, Abi, your Fulani masters. And since you are mostly Muslims, right, automatically you kind of want to see yourself as wannabe Fulanis, but yet you are not even kind of given that accord, don't you think? Because it's so easy. When you want to look at the areas where they will pick up on these fanatics, they will see loads of them from Ilorin that will disparage and talk so less of the their Yoruba heritage. But when it is convenient, they come around to come and be our Afa in Yorubaland. Yeah, in places where they can do Wahasi, they can, if you need the Wahasi preachers from Ilorin, they will send them over. But they don't see themselves as Yorubas. When the chiefs are down, they will rather identify as the Fulanis, not central, as part of this whole scheme. So jihad, as in how you want to do it. Sure, you go first start your jihad. For example, because I'm speaking right now as a Yoruba man, will you start your jihad by killing members of your family? Because, you are going to need a simple majority, Abi. You will need simple majority. So that your jihad that you want to start in Yorubaland for your Sharia, where are you going to start it from? Are you going to start it the way they do it in Kano? Are you going to rise from your Jumat prayer and then you're going to enter the streets and you begin to slaughter the non-Muslims so that you can get your Sharia. Wo eje pirigidi ya e ma je mo yo ya o mo to pe ni mo yo ya. They say in Yorubaland there is a saying that tí ìyà ò bá dùn ọmọ lára ló máa ń sọ pé kò ní dá fẹ́ni tó nà wọ́n. You see, when the beating is not enough, a child will be what? Will be saying, no go better for that person that is beating him. You see, tí ìyà bá mú yín lára tán, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ lẹ máa máa ṣe, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sir, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sir, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sir, please, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sir, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sir, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sir, please sir, please sir. So I want to hear that jihad from his mouth to explain it.
Threatened. That is why you are admonished. You know, that is the only thing you should fight. You can fight. When people are threatening you from practicing your religion, that is what is happening now. Your right to practice your religion peacefully is now being threatened.
Ọmọ àlè rádaràda, ọmọ ìrankíran, ọmọ àlè. Did you hear that part? I told you. If you see the people who have, Nigerian people have kind of like intermarried. You see Yoruba, Igbo, you see Yoruba, Hausa, or you see Hausa, Igbo, you will see Yoruba, Fulani, and all of that stuff. You see, every one of them that is kind of like birthed by a mix of a Fulani, there is something in that, because whether the father is Yoruba and the mother is Fulani, somehow, the inferiority complex always catch them sooner or later, that they believe that they are more Fulani than being Yoruba, or more Fulani than being Okun, which is Yoruba. So you get, it's always there. And somehow, as much as the Fulanis see them as subhumans, but they are like the ready-made religious soldiers, the foot soldiers, for the advancement of the Fulani agenda in those areas. You get that now? So it is always, I don't understand. Maybe because I am a full-blooded Yoruba, right? So an Ijebu man. My mom is Ijebu, my dad is Ijebu. Their own parents were Ijebus, and the parents before them, they were Ijebus. It's like a Ijebu. But being a Yoruba man, being an Ijebu man within the nation called the Yoruba nation, right? So there is this pride in being Yoruba. So somebody like me, there's something in being Yoruba. It is like, it is like this generational pride. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is like for other people who have a sort of a mixed birth. So you get now like, inter-tribal or inter-ethnic or inter-racial sort of, family. So when I look at confused people, right, who would rather sacrifice their Yorubaness for something with no history, like being full. Sorry, apologies to you if you're a Fulani watching me right now, okay? But from what I know, right, you don't even exist until 1807, after the first jihad, terrorism against the Hausa nation. Fulani didn't exist. Nobody can say, okay, except for those who traced you back to Futa Jalon, Futa sorrow, Futa sadness, or what have you. There's no historical, ancestral sort of proof that you were part of Nigeria. You were never, your ancestors were never until 1807. And that was the moment you started kind of like advancing left, right, and center. Not left, right, and center anyway, to the places you eventually occupied. My ancestors, right? They've been around for thousands of years, put it that way. You know? And they're still around. I mean, we are still occupying the same space that our forebearers remains were buried. So, I don't understand how that teachings kind of succeeded, especially in Kogi, in Ilorin, up north that way. I don't know how it succeeded. That if you are a Yoruba person, Papa, Yoruba, understand the pride and you don't understand what being a Yoruba man or woman means. It simply means that you are like a needle with a thread. Abereto lokun now. So how could anybody that is not a bastard because of religion, right? We now kind of like worship the Satan of Sokoto above the Satan of Sokoto that doesn't even exist until like 1815, 1820 or thereabouts. There was nothing called Satan. There was nothing called Emir in the old northern Nigeria. They don't exist. They never existed until Danfodio started this, what do you call it? Is caliphate. So how could anybody from 1804 now, there's nothing called Sultan until even that 1804 was when they started the jihad. Here you get. They never established the Sultan because he chooses not to be a Sultan, remember. Danfodio rejected the idea of being a Sultan until his son, Bello. And I think Bello had to be the Sultan after the death of Danfodio, killed by the people of Tifi, the Tifi people that harrowed him. They killed the terrorist when he was trying to cross over the Benue. The jihad was coming to Benue. Now they didn't kill him. It's not as if to say the Uthman Danfodio guy was actually like that, a fighter per se. No. It was just like what happened in Ilorin, Aponja and Alimi, right? That's exactly the same trick he used on the Hausa kings, Hausa rulers. First, by turning their household, their communities against them, using religion. He was a Quranic teacher, a charm seller, and a Quranic teacher that became prominent that the Hausa kings invited him to come and teach their children Quran as a teacher. And that was how he got to brainwash some of these young people by telling them that, they should be warriors for Allah. Holy war for Allah. That some of them killed their own parents. Imagine your son walking straight into your house with two other boys. And then they kill you. They are there to kill you because their teacher told them to go and do it. Yeah, that's how they captured the northern Nigeria, this northern Nigeria. They couldn't even capture Gobiri, where the Kanuris were. They couldn't capture them. They couldn't defeat them until the British came. Story, history, true story. So they said it was going to be he now set up a caliphate. And that caliphate, right, it was supposed to be the Sultan. So he rejected it. Yeah, he actually rejected being a Sultan. That is why Uthman Danfodio was never a Sultan. It was his son, I think, that was later appointed to become a Sultan after his death, after he was killed with an arrow. The TVs killed him. And that was it. He approached the Middle Belt. They defeated him. They killed as many of his soldiers until they ran back. That's the history. They never conquered the Middle Belt, talking of conquering the Yorubaland. You know what I mean? So where is that pride coming from? Where is that thing that makes you feel like being a Fulani is something over the indigenous people whose history is buried in the land where you see them today? Their ancestors, their bones are still there in their land today. Who the hell is Fodio? Who the hell is Fodio? Where is that supremacy coming from? What are they teaching people in this part of Nigeria that makes them feel like being a Fulani is something superior? And I feel sorry for the Hausas, by the way. Because, yeah, today, the real number one enemy of the Fulanis are the Hausas, who felt so betrayed that they want to fight the war again. If they have their way, not only will they get rid of the emirs, the sultan, they will become history. So there's no supremacy in them. There's nothing about them that makes them kind of like they are not real warriors. They are not fighters. History only portrayed them as betrayers who stabbed everybody that welcomed them in the back. Again, if you're a Fulani watching me right now, this is not an attack on you. It is just a fact. And you know, facts, something about a fact is that it's always very, very stubborn. There was never a time that they said, oh, we are waging see, after betraying the people that welcomed him into their space, right? After betraying them, the war he tried to fight, they killed him. This was them trying to say, oh, let's advance. Let's go to the Middle Belt. Let's go to this place and capture them as well. He was defeated, destroyed. And then he went on to go and die from the poisoned arrow. He never came back. So the idea of Fulani being anything at all is no other than what the British did in what they considered as a indirect rule, direct and indirect rule, which also culminated into them being factored into the power formation in that contraption Nigeria. So where is that supremacy coming from? How would anybody feel like being Fulani is superior to being Yoruba because you have a mixed birth? If you are not, you see, with or without you, the Yoruba land that I know of, right? We may have weak men, we may have bastards who are supposed to stand up for Yoruba land despite the position they are holding, but they won't. There are things that will always unite the Yorubas. When they sense a danger where everybody is going to be a fair game, then the Yorubas will kind of like unite, and it is what it is. If Bokwari couldn't get an inch plot of land in Yorubaland for a Fulani terrorist, who the hell are you and your sultan to make you think you push the agenda of Sharia, religious, this and that in Yorubaland? Una know they think. What makes you think that's going to actually really happen? Jihad? Jihad? What the heck are you talking about? Jihad in Yorubaland? Oh yeah, bring it on. You know? Let's see how that goes as well. But unfortunately, right, you are going to need Yoruba bastards to make some certain things work. Unfortunately, right, the bastards in Yorubaland, right, they are so little, so tiny, that except for the noise and for all this attention and what have you that they are trying to kind of like curry, they are irrelevant, they are inconsequential. Because those who are championing the rejection of this your political Sharia, majority of them they are Muslims too. They know the danger, they know the agenda, they know the intention, and they are saying no. So Mr. Kogi jihadist, if you have a chance, maybe you should hire some people from Okun like yourself. Enter the night bus, come to Lagos or any part of Yorubaland. Come and preach your jihad and see those that will first beat you up. They will be your fellow Muslims, because there is nobody that is facing any kind of a religious discrimination in Yorubaland. 100%. So whatever your Satan is pushing, it is only an Omoali, a bastard, a Yoruba bastard, right? That is going to say his own Satan of Shokoto. A Yoruba, a Satan of Shokoto is more relevant, and what do you call it? Is is more powerful than the Oni of Ife or the Alaafin for you. Unfortunately, the Oni of Ife, that one is a disgrace, unfortunately. And we also have some disgraceful elements holding the traditional stools in Yorubaland, like a Diwere, Kilotinpe, that Were from Iwo, Emir of Iwo. Yeah? We have them like that, who have succumbed to some of these degrading, disgraceful sort of ideas. But they can be dealt with. That's something I'm very sure of. They can be dealt with. So maybe you should come down to the south, to the southwest, okay? Okay, whatever your Satan couldn't do as the president of you Muslims, as you call it, right? So maybe you should come down south and come and preach about that your jihad. Show us your face. Let's see your name. All right? And then we can possibly now show you what it means to be tolerant and what it means not to be tolerant, okay? So we know the inciters, and we know some of you who have been funded to push all these narratives in Yorubaland. But if Bukwari couldn't do it, if he failed with his Ruga, cattle colony, grazing routes, and other nonsense, waterway bills, all the nonsense that they schemed together in order for them to come and share the part of Yorubaland for their Fulani agenda. Now, you can be rest assured that your Sharia agenda will be dead before your boss arrives in Yorubaland.
My people, that was deep and also bitter truth about the history of Funanis in Nigeria. Like, well done to Mayego for this great analysis concerning the establishment of Sharia law in Yorubaland. So, my people, as I bring this update to you guys, I hope you guys had everything Mayego said here. I would love you guys to leave your thoughts in the comment section as always. Don't forget to subscribe, just as I said before, for more updates, and also turn on the post notification bell on so that anytime I upload a new video, you'll be the first person to be notified. Share the video to your friends and family and give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next update. Goodbye for now.
Welcome to Shamra Seniors TV.